Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a very special character from Robot Chicken. I found an original strawberry shortcake doll and we're going to be using her head and a mini extra Barbie body. She's super cute, but let's go ahead and behead her now. Imagine we left this body. Odd head swap. There's a little stain on the head, but we're gonna go ahead and cover that up anyway because it needs to be just a slightly lighter complexion in order to match the character anyway. I originally got one that I didn't notice had heels, so we swapped it out for one that has a flat foot so we don't have to deal with that. I often use the draping method, and if I don't use the draping method, I will take a paper towel and use it as if it's fabric, cut out the shapes I need, transfer that over to cardstock, and then use that as a pattern. I'm using washi tape in order to make horizontal lines. I think it's really satisfying peeling it off. And it came out pretty good. This character was a little difficult to decipher in person because lighting changes color quite often, and I could not decide if she had a white outfit with yellow polka dots or if she had a cream outfit with yellow polka dots. So we went ahead and did an off-white with yellow polka dots in order to give it some depth. And also my favorite scenes are usually her doing something shady in the dark. So, why not? Here is the finished product of all the pieces put together. I'm just going to go ahead and put on the shoes. Everything fits really good. Now we're going to start with the face up. I managed to cover up the stain pretty well. Her hair is going to cover up the rest. Right now we're just going to do some rosy cheeks. And start up on this face. Her face is pretty flat other than her, like a small bevel of her cheeks and her nose. So I'm going to take extra precautions to make sure that these eyes and everything is super even. And even if it's not, it's kind of okay because her expressions are changed per claymation. So if they're not perfectly matched, it's not the end of the world, but it's the end of the world. Just kidding. So here we're just going in and making a deep crease. Every single time I put down a layer of water soluble color pencils, I put about 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear. Sometimes I do one because I do a thin layer of watercolor pencils or gouache, then I put a layer, and I just go back and forth until it's built up in that way. I know some artists like to do it where it's like 5 layers, then a really opaque layer. I just happen to find the other way simpler to keep track of mistakes, and when I walk away and I come back, it doesn't look right, I can fix it. So it just works out better for me. For me, it always helps to put the head upside down when you're doing the other eye in order to make it symmetrical. I don't know why it tricks the eye to do that, but it helps me out a lot to draw one eye and then put it upside down and draw the other eye. Don't ask me why that works, but it does for me. I dyed some of my favorite yarn yellow, and now we're just going to dry it, process it with a cat brush, and flat iron it for a silky appearance. There goes that sassy expression that I love so much. Just making sure that everything is lined up. Her blushing is even, her eyebrows are even, and anything that is naturally not symmetrical. I absolutely love her sassy expression, and I almost wish I could make a way for her to change facial expressions without messing up the face paint for the customer. This doll is already on my Etsy and ready for purchase. My Etsy link is down below. I always save black watercolor pencils and anything of that variety for the very last because it's very much final. Okay, so now we're at hair. So I went ahead and brushed out some yarn and cut it in half of what I originally was going to use, and I just make sure that I squish down the hot glue to make a seam line as if it's a weft versus making wefts beforehand. I'm not putting yarn throughout the whole entire scalp because I don't want it to be bulky. I accidentally got some Sharpie on the hair, but that's easily fixed with some rubbing alcohol. And just dab that on there on a paper towel, clean it, wipe it off, and it comes right up. To make her headdress, I took some yellow fabric and some cardstock, cut it into shape, and sandwiched it together. I'm putting hot glue on the edge of where I sewed so I can pleat it down so it'll be flat and not bulge. Turn it inside out I placed it onto the head so I can get a proper measurement of depth, made a small clip, and then cut off the excess to put it back onto the head. Cinch the fabric around the ponytail tight. And permanently attach it to the head. Now we're going to use straws to make her curled bangs and her curled ponytail. So now I'm using Mod Podge glue and water. I usually do the consistency until it's like a milky water. It's not really supposed to be thick. And that's going to use as our hairspray for our curls. I just used some straws and some bobby pins, and we'll let those dry to the side. Here is the headband that I created from that rough sketch. Using a watercolor pencil, I'm going to trace out my outline so that I can put down the first layer for her symbol. We're going to let that first layer dry. Now we're going to paint the bows that go onto her shoes yellow. I just used some Warbler real quick. And now we're going back. Pudding, of course, has pudding as her symbol. So we're going to go ahead and do the silver platter that the pudding sits in. We're going to let that dry a little bit and then do a slightly lighter yellow to symbolize the pudding. And then that part will be all done. Woohoo! Just putting all the little details. I let them dry, and now it's time to take them out. Now it's time to I've taken down the straws, and the curls just weren't tight enough. I mean, it would be cute for something if I was doing Shirley Temples, but for pudding, she has really tight curls. So to fix them in place, I'm using a hot glue, just a dab of hot glue, just enough so it'll hold it curled in that one spot and won't drop over time. After the bow is made out of Warbler, secure it to the shoe and paint the whole thing yellow again. Seal with varnish, and then for an extra hold, just in case, I'm applying some resin to keep it as one solid piece. Now that the base level has dried, paint the pudding cup onto her headdress. I put the UV flashlight to set it in place, and with that,
now hit my theme song. Dun, 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 dun! Bitch pudding. Blam! So that's my story. I probably should have done a voiceover through the whole thing, but I didn't feel like it. Now the only question is, what does the future hold?